Hi, everyone. My name is Gabriella. Thank you for joining us today. I hope everyone is having a good time right now. We're just going to talk a little bit about Middlesex University and the process of arriving at Middlesex. As I said, my name is Gabriella, and I'm the Regional Officer for the Americas and Caribbean Regional Office. I'm also joined by V and Artesia, who are student ambassadors, and they'll tell us a bit about their experience too. We'll be talking about the different stages, so some things to keep in mind before and after you arrive in the UK, and also share a little bit about the international orientation program and that stuff. After they speak, I'll do a little Q&A section. So if you have questions, start putting them on the chat, start preparing for them, because we will have some time to answer those. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's some things in mind before you arrive in the UK. So as you prepare for your new life as a Londoner, these are some essential recommendations. So taking out travel insurance in case of any mishaps during your trip, such as delays on the flight or a loss of a suitcase, for example. Those are things to keep in mind. For those of you who have already applied to your student visa, you'll know that at the end of the application, you must pay the visa application fee plus a health surcharge. And that fee is determined by the length of time that you'll be in the UK. This will cover your health care during your time in the UK, but you can also opt to take out private medical insurance if you wish. Another common question that we get during this stage is about packing, especially if your transportation company only allows a limited amount of suitcases. So think of this, you'll need clothes for all types of weather. Honestly, those of you who live in the UK will attest to this, but all types of weather. Most importantly for the winter, as that's the fastest approaching after your arrival in January. So be mindful of that. And it's also important to note that the UK has strict importation rules. So be very careful about packing food items, which you can also very likely find in the UK anyway. So finally, the most important thing you should remember from this slide is they carry all important documents, including your transcripts, your English language test, if this is part of your, if it was part of your application. Anything that's on your CAS should be on your hand luggage, because this will be requested at border control. Okay, so be very mindful of that. We have partnered with a company called Movito, and they can give you a discount, which is the promo code is MDX2021. You can find them at go-movito.com. And basically, this company just provides support for international students who are getting settled in the UK. You can get something sent over to your house currently or to your accommodation in London. And they just really help out with all the support, especially in a virtual environment as we have now. So probably the second most important thing that you should know, or probably the first, is to be aware of the travel advice for your country. You know, as many of you in the UK is constantly updating their travel rules due to COVID and its variants. So I advise everyone to keep close attention to that by constantly checking www.gov.uk before their travels. 2 months before your travel, a month before your travel, days before your travel. This is constantly being updated, and we don't want you to miss out on any important information. So please keep an eye on that. And if you're unsure about this, please firstly check the government's website and then contact your regional office, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to help. For example, if you're coming from a red list country, you must book a quarantine hotel package before you arrive in the UK. And you can see currently, as of yesterday, the 10 countries that are currently on the red list. This can be updated tonight. This can be updated tomorrow. This can change very quickly, so please be mindful of that. And you also need to take a negative COVID-19 test result no more than 3 days before your flight departs, and then complete a passenger locator form. This is regardless of vaccination status. All right, so what to do when you arrive in the UK. So assuming that you're fully vaccinated, you must still quarantine at home or at the place that you're staying until you get the results of your day 2 COVID test. If it's negative, then you can leave quarantine, obviously. We also ask that you contact us before arriving in the UK so we know how to best support you. If you're a January starter and you haven't already, then you'll get enrollment details and open up a UniHub account. Please make sure that you give us the right mobile number and email addresses that you will have available in the UK so we know how to contact you. As a reminder, COVID-19 vaccines are free in the UK, and if you haven't gotten it in your home country, you're still more than welcome to get after your quarantine period ends. So at the airport, if you're a short-term student, please make sure that you get a stamp at the border. You may be tempted to go through the e-gate, but please do not. Simply get that stamp. Basically, an immigrations officer will look at your passport, check that your visa and any documents are in place and any documents that they may request. They should also be satisfied of your English knowledge without the need of an interpreter. So keep that in mind, be relaxed, speak your best English, and communicate fluently. So the immigration officer will put a stamp on your passport and you should be good to go. Some of the documents that you should bring with you on your hand luggage are your offer letter from the university, any relevant transcripts, your CAS, any bank statements if this is required for your visa application. As some countries are exempt, so if this is not a requirement for your visa, you don't need to show bank statements. And the accommodation in the UK, such as your hall of residence or wherever it is that you're staying. Make sure to print this evidence and bring it with you. Please don't rely on electronic devices because we don't know when they just turn off or lose battery. So please bring them with you in physical. So after you go through the border control, grab your luggage, you must go through customs. If you have anything to declare, you should go through the red channel. If you're coming from the EU, then you should join the blue line. If you have nothing to declare, then you can walk through the green line, although keep in mind that an officer can still pull you for extra screening, whichever line you take. So just be mindful of that. All right, so in the UK, you can easily find the location where you're trying to, you can easily find the location where you're trying to go by simply typing the postcode into any app like Google Maps. City Mapper works really well, and the TfL Journey Planner. So our campus is located in a neighborhood called Hendon, which is in the Northern Line in North London. The nearest tube station is Hendon Central. And if you're coming from an amber or basically if you're coming from a green list country, you can make your way to campus on the tube. Middlesex is partnered with Movito, a company that basically helps international students get settled in the UK. So it can also include travel from airports. So you can register using the Middlesex student code, which is MDX 2021, and get your starter pack sent to your current home address before you travel to the UK. You can also book Addison Lee taxis, which offer decent rates, and they can even, when you book them online, they can even monitor your flight in case if there are any delays. So it's very convenient and a lot more affordable than the black cab. All right, so after you settle in, make sure to attend our orientation program, which we'll talk about in just a bit. Register with your general practitioner or GP, which is your assigned doctor in the UK. Their surgery or office will likely be closest to where you live. Also register with the police if and only if this is a requirement. So if your visa vignette or the sticker on your passport says police registration or register with the police in 7 days upon entry or however many days upon entry, then you should register with the police. It costs £34 to register, and you can find more information, including what to bring, by searching UK visas and registering with the police on www.gov.uk. So other things to do during your first few weeks from arriving is collecting your BRP card, which is going to be your ID, your national ID in the UK, and opening a bank account. So you must collect your BRP card within 10 days of arrival in the UK from any post office branch or the university, depending on where you selected this to go when you were applying to your visa. Please remember to bring your passport and offer letter when you go collect it. These are very important so you can receive your BRP. Please note that also to open a bank account, you'll need your passport, you'll need a bank application form, and the student status letter, which you will have access to request on UniHub after you receive the login details. So please note that this might take a while, so it would be a good idea to travel with enough cash and credit or debit cards to go through your first few weeks, I would say even through your first month, because it may just take a little while to get a UK bank account. All right, so some of the student support that we give at Middlesex, honestly, Middlesex is known for its excellent student support. So if you have any questions, you can ask the International Student Advice Team at INTADVICE, that's INTADVICE at mdx.ac.uk. We also have a Chinese student liaison who helps the university's Chinese community, and your regional office can put you in touch with them. Please reach out to your regional office. I'm the regional officer for Americas and the Caribbean. So if you live in North and South America and the Caribbean, by all means, feel free to contact me. But if you're from another region, please contact your regional office and they'll be able to tell you more information. So let's see what we have about the international orientation. So we will be hosting a hybrid model to January's International Student Orientation. So on the 10th and the 11th of January, we'll host various online events, which we invite you to join. And on the 27th, we'll host an in-person event to make sure that everybody can join us. The early arrivals, the later arrivals can all join us on the 27th, and we can make this great event with our big happy family. You can find more details and register on UniHub. So please, whenever you have access, go on UniHub, register for the event. All you need is your name, email address, and student ID. So if you have these three things and you're planning to join us in January, go ahead, go on UniHub and join us for these events. All right, so that is the end of my presentation, but I will now invite Urtiza and B to join us. Oops. None of you can see my slides yet, can you? Perfect. Now you should. All right, so I'll introduce you to V. She's a student ambassador at Middlesex University. And V, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, hello everyone. Well, my name is V and I'm your International Student Ambassador. And I will continue the webinar with a little bit of self-introduction about myself and share you guys some life experience I have when I arrived to UK and also give you some tips along the way. So let's get to it then. So I'm from Vietnam. Yes, I'm Vietnamese and we welcome you guys to come to my country anytime. Of course, with coronavirus, it's kind of difficult to travel, but still it's worth to visit once in a while. So welcome you all to my country. And that's is a little bit brief about myself. And now we'll go to my experience about arriving to UK for the first time. So far, I've been UK for nearly 4 years now, and I still remember the first time I came to UK, it was very long queue. I don't know why it can get that long, but maybe people coming at that time, they get a little bit excited. So, but bear in mind that you might have to stand for a queue for about 40 minutes max or 45 minutes. But although it's a long queue, you should keep yourself hydrating and everything because you will need to get the top of it when you get to the border officer who will assist you with the document and passport and everything. So at that time, he was really kind and gentle to me, and I feel very welcome when he greeted me with a smile and everything. So yeah, everything went smoothly. But the only problem was I don't know where was my luggage. Yeah, it was horrible. Like In my country, the airport was quite small, and then I come to UK is enormous, so it's hard to find my luggage. I have to ask here, oh, excuse me, sir, where's my luggage? And then he helped me to help. So find help when you can. So that was my experience when I traveled to KK airport for the first time. And then the first thing first for when you come to UK is based on my experience. The top tip is remember always to collect your BRP first. That will be your identity to do everything else the following weeks. So whenever you can, the earliest thing you can do is go to university, sign in, and then collect your BRP. And then you can start open your bank account and also register with the Oyster card. The Oyster card is a travel card that you can use to travel in Transport London throughout Zone 1 and Zone 6. So I think it's a great offer for you to use the Oyster card. Also to remember to register with your GP near your area as well. So it's helped you with the medical problems, or if you want to have your vaccine, they also help you with that too. So that's, I think is a good thing to do when you have the first free time in your week. Although I think you might be a little bit exhausted in the first week, but yeah, that's the thing that you might need to want to have the aware of when you first come to UK. So that's enough of the experience when I first arrived to UK. The next one, I will talk about my student life as MDX. So are you aware, I already as a member of MDX team. My degree is BSc Economics and with foundation year. So I have been with MDX for 2 years, nearly 3 years now. So I always like to study a Shepherd library where you can have a lot of area to study and group up with friends and meet up with books. If you like books like me, then it's a perfect place for you to study. And you can have some time, enjoy with friend in the court. That's a picture over there when you have a big heart with the Leon Knight. That is the first impression I have when I first come to MDX. And the Christmas tree, if you come a time like this, you can see that we also put up the Christmas tree and some carol over there to celebrate Christmas. We have tons of events that you can also take part in as well. So like international Oriental event and a lot of work opportunity. You can also learn a new language if you register with a LCE exchange scheme where you can learn French, Portuguese, Chinese, and Spanish if you have any interest. So currently I'm having some Chinese lesson with this scheme and it's going perfectly fine. So yeah, that's some of my experience that I want to share with you guys as a current student at MDX. Thank you. If you have any question, just pop me the chat here and then I will answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, V. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. So now I'd like to introduce you to Artiza. He's also a student ambassador, and he's going to tell us about himself and about his experience at Middlesex University. Hi, Artiza.
Hello, Gabriel. Thank you very much for your time and presentation. Hello, everyone. So my name is Atiz, as you can see, and my journey with Middlesex started way long back in 2011 when I was doing my bachelor's. So I completed my undergrad in 2014. Then I completed my master's because I never wanted to leave Middlesex. So I truly love Middlesex, and they even got me a scholarship to do my master's course. So I stayed in there, did my master's, finishing in 2015. Then I worked for a couple of years, moved to France, and I recently, well, not recently, with the pandemic, I started my PhD in the beginning of the year 2020. And right now I am actually in the library, in the Shepherd Library, as my my fellow ambassador we was mentioning, the Shepherd Library. This is where I am sitting right now on the first floor. So any questions during this presentation and webinar, feel free to write in the chat box and we'll be happy to assist further. I'll be going through my experience of how life in general is as an MDX student, and what to expect, and about my experience when I first arrived in the UK. It was my first international country travel to any other country apart from my home country, which is Pakistan. So I'm a Pakistani. I come from Pakistan. I don't know if you've ever been there. Beautiful country, especially the north side. Good food, spicy food. We love spicy food. Not as expensive as London, so you can buy cheap clothes, and you can literally go on a shopping spree if you go to Pakistan, especially my city, which is Karachi. So if you can have the next slide, please. Right. So my journey with Middlesex has been of complete aspirations and inspiration. It has given me a lot of personal and professional development skills. Um, uh, Studying an undergrad course, there were a lot of training, there were a lot of conferences that gave me their skills to go out there and attract employees, because at the end of your degree, that's the most important thing, that you have transferable skills, what you've studied at the university, and then you go out and when you work for an employer, whether or not you'll be able to use your academic knowledge to work in the practical world. So here, as my colleague mentioned, we have got learning cultural exchange, where I polished my French skills, because when I went to work with in France, this language cultural exchange really helped me, because it's absolutely free. You get to meet a lot of students from different part of the world having their own language, and that really helped me a lot. Especially, and then also when I moved to other conferences in other part of the Europe, um, my academic module were drafted in a way that I have to, but that I have to participate in those conferences. So all these international experiences really helped me develop my professional skills. Um, if you have the next slide, and then okay. Yeah, so the state-of-the-art learning facilities, and from the as a student, you've got student learning support. We have got brilliant faculty members. I'm studying criminology, so I'm from the School of Law, and there is one thing that I can tell you, that here at Middlesex, the faculty members are extremely supportive. They're extremely helpful. I remember in my first year, I was like quite nervous, because it was my first ever travel to a different country, and then a completely different way of learning, way of teaching. And I was really nervous about when I was coming towards the end of my deadline for submitting my assessments. And then I just sent an email to my professor and said, why don't you come down to my office during my office hours? And I went there, and they really helped me out with explaining everything, and all the problems that I had. It was like literally gone. And so this is like kind of a support that you get from members of the staff here. Plus the well-being support is still there. It's still amazing. It's outstanding. We have got students union here at MDX that really caters for students' needs here as well. If you can have the next slide, and then yeah, so as I was saying, that my course and the academic curriculum my academic curriculum was drafted in a way that I have to travel different parts of the European Union countries where I was participating conferences. So as you can see, the picture on the right hand side of the screen is of Greece, where I was participating in a conference where all different students from different parts of the consulting used to come. And on the left hand side of the screen, this is me working at one of the open days on campus here. As you can see, this is a red, all the red shirt wearing student ambassadors, and I'm in the middle. So time has gone past now, and we literally have our open day last couple of weeks ago, I think. It was really nice after the pandemic. So yeah, this is something I mean, I've made connections, professional connections all over all over the world. I've met people which I probably wouldn't be able to have such long lasting and professional connections if I've been to any other country, or if I have been staying at my country. So this is the part that I really love about London and studying in London, that you make connections from all over the world. People from Far East, Vietnamese, I've got friends from Thailand, from Malaysia, and in European Union. So if you come and the culture, it's such a vibrant culture here at campus that you make lots of friends, and it's such a lovely atmosphere at the campus. So if we have the next slide. Oh yes, it's a once in a lifetime student experience, that's for sure. When you're studying in London, you have the world of opportunities at your doorstep. It's just a matter of opening up that door. We have got huge apprenticeship market, internships market. Now with the slowly, and the life is becoming normal slowly and gradually. Hopefully, we don't have another spike in the cases, fingers crossed. But the job market here in London is booming. Even the government is giving more and more incentives to international students. So I think it's a brilliant time to come here. The nightlife is amazing here in London. Literally, the campus, as my colleague mentioned, the campus is located in the neighborhood Hendon, which is literally 25 minutes by public transport to central London. So we are not that far, and we are not right in the heart of central London. So it's about at the fair distance of 25 minutes from campus to Marble Arch, Oxford Circus. You are bang in there, 25 minutes, and then you are there. And here I would like to touch upon my colleague. We mentioned about the student Oyster card. It's fairly simple application process. All you have to do is Google TfL, Transport for London, create an account over there, and then your Oyster card will be delivered on campus to the Students' Union. You come to the campus, go to Students' Union, show them the email, and they'll give you the student Oyster card. It gives you 30% off on your travel throughout your student journey, which is trust me, which is a lot. It makes a lot of difference. Transport is expensive in London, but if you do get that student Oyster card, that gives you 30% off. That's a blessing for me. I mean, I literally pay like 50-60 pounds a month, and that gives unlimited travel for a month if I make the bus travel pass. So that's one thing. Also, I would like to touch upon the bank account thing. It's really important. These two things are really important, especially, actually three. The first one is bank account. The second one is student Oyster card, and the third one is registering with the doctor, registering with the GP. The same way you go and Google NHS, or the National Health Service, you put in your postcode, and then it will tell you which is the closest surgery, or which is the closest GP in your area. Click on there, and then you register yourself, go on with your passport, and that's it. It's important with the pandemic. It's important that you register with the GP. And with regards to the bank account, I am personally using Barclays. It's one of the high street banks here in London. All you need is a student status letter, which you can easily get from the uni help in the library. You need a passport with at least 3 months visa on there, and a biometric residence permit that you will also receive here at the campus. So that's three most important things that I would say when you do arrive here. That's the three most important things that, in my opinion, it's good. So if you can have the next slide, please.
That's it.
All right, that's pretty much it. So any questions, feel free to type in the chat box, and thank you very much for being here. Yeah, we just
Thank
can't,
you,
as I said, we
Artiza.
can't wait for you to become part of Team MTX. Thank you, Gabriel.
Thank you, Artiza, especially for reassuring the importance of getting your bank account, registering with the GP, picking up your BRP. I keep telling students this all the time. We can't even I can't even explain how many times I say this. And then after their students, they email me back or call me back and they're like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm like, I told you a million times.
I can
Because we
imagine.
know it's important. I also understand that there's a lot on students' plates, traveling and doing all of these. But this is why we do webinars like these. And this is why each region has a regional office, because we speak your language, we understand your situations, we want to give you the best support that we can, even before you become a student at Middlesex University, during your time as a student, and even after. Because after you graduate, you still have access to the Employability Center, which helps students find jobs, stay connected with the industry. We can check your CV, updated, do mock interviews, and all of that. So with all of that, we just want to encourage you to become part of Team MDX. And if you have any questions, this would be a great time to write them on the chat. I have a question that came directly to me. I don't know if you guys have any question, Veer or Artiza, you can read out loud. But one of the questions that I have is, can we quarantine at our college accommodation, or should we quarantine in a hotel? This will depend from which country you are coming from. So once again, I would say, after this webinar, go on www.gov.uk and see what travel restrictions are in place for people coming from your country. This is especially if you've spent 10 days in the country prior. Thank you, Artiza. In the country prior to where you, from traveling in the UK. For example, you can be a US citizen, but if you are in Pakistan, the rules may vary. So it's not so much about what passport you have, but where you are coming from 10 days prior, where you've spent 10 days prior to your arrival in London. So to give you an example, if you're coming from the United States and you are completely vaccinated, then you do not need to, you just need to basically quarantine until you take the day 2 test. And if it's negative, you can leave quarantine and live happily ever after. But if you're coming from another country, for example, Zimbabwe, then that is considered a red list country. You will need to book a quarantine hotel before your arrival and stay at the hotel during your time of quarantine. So it really varies. It really depends. If you have any doubts, please contact your regional office and they will be able to send you the right links and give you the most relevant and most updated information. Any other questions? I don't know, V or Artiza, if you have any questions on your end that have been sent directly to you? No? Okay. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I just want to say thank you to everyone for spending this half hour with us. I hope it has been useful. Again, if you have any questions, please contact us. It's our job and it's our pleasure. GRP, I have another question saying, is GRP only for students with a visa? Is
BRP.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so BRP, yeah, no worries. I just wanted to make sure if it was GP that you were mentioning or BRP. So BRP is only for students with a visa. It's basically your ID or your national identity card in the UK during your time as a student or during the period of your student visa, because the student visa may run for a little bit longer than your studies. So I just wanted to clarify that for the purpose of accuracy. So if your visa is 4 years long, then your BRP should be 4 years long. And yes, it is only for students with a visa.
Oh, I'm going to add something on this.
Go ahead.
So BRP literally stands for Biometric Residence Permit. So what that means is that when you do apply for a student visa in your home country, you give your biometrics, you give your fingerprint and thumb impressions, and then when you come and you land at Heathrow and when you are giving your passport to the border officer and he stamps at you, he again asks you to do your biometrics, your thumb impression and your finger impression. So that literally goes onto your BRP. So that's, I mean, that's the most important document. I would highly recommend you to keep that safe, because if that gets lost, I don't know, it has to be reported to the police and a lot of other places. You won't be able to open an account. You won't be able to register with the GP. You won't be able to do anything if you lose that piece of document. So it's really important that you keep hold of that biometric residence permit.
Yes, I
so
agree with Artiza.
so you say, I only stay 5 months, so I won't have a visa. Is that a problem if I don't have a BRP? That's a complicated query, I would say. As long
I have
as,
the answer for it.
oh, you have the answer. All right, go ahead.
So if you say that you're only staying for 5 months, I'm assuming that you're a short-term student, in which case you don't need a visa, because you don't need a student visa, because you will have, I'm assuming that you're from the US, for example, and you have the ability to stay in the UK for short term. If that is the case, then you won't have given your biometrics and you won't have a BRP. Will it be a problem? It won't be a problem. You just need to travel with your US ID or wherever you're coming from, and maybe a photo of your passport or any documents that show your identity. But it's not a problem if you don't have your BRP because you never got one. I have another question, and this is a good one. I think it's a common doubt. It's if you travel, since the Oyster card is for traveling with public transportation, how do we travel before we get the Oyster card with the student discount? And two responses. Number one, you can purchase an Oyster card without a student discount. And number two, if you have a contactless method of payment, such as a credit or debit card with a contactless sign or your phone, you can use those methods of payment for swiping or for tapping in and out of the tube or in and out of the bus. So for those of you who may come with your parents or with a friend, they don't need to purchase an Oyster card specifically. If they don't want to, they can just tap in and out with their alternate methods of payment, such as a credit or debit card. And it's a good question, actually, because sometimes we emphasize so much about the importance of having a student Oyster card that we forget some of the basics that sometimes students, and in some cases, they won't get one immediately before. And thank you, V, for the link on the student Oyster photo card. It's also, I think, a nice souvenir after you leave the UK as a student to get that Oyster photo card with how you looked like back then when you were a student. This is my case.
I have 3.
You have 3.
Yeah.
We have 3 great souvenirs. Any other
I've got 2 as
questions?
well.
Oh, I just have 1. I
Oh.
just have 1. Okay. I feel left out. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I know that all of us are busy and have things to do, but we're very, very grateful for your time. Thank you, V and Artiza, for sharing your experience with us. Also, if you are not yet participating in the Facebook group, please go ahead. We've just sent out a link. A student ambassador will be there to answer your questions. So please engage on the Facebook group. Please engage with your regional office. Let us know when you're coming so we know that you're ready and have everything you need. And thank you once again for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.